Charity. February 12, 2015. Beloved ones, let us have discourse on the quality of love known as charity. Charity is the practice of benevolent caring and giving, of being considerate of others and showing compassion for their current state of being. It is also learning about the importance of empathy within self in relation to others, and how this quality of love expressed brings profound joy to both the giver and the receiver. Charity is doing acts out of love without thought for something in return and is beyond mere kindness. It is the pure joy of giving which includes much more than material things. This giving from the heart can have many phases, such as sharing a warm smile with a stranger, an encouraging hug to a friend or family member, or kind and thoughtful word of appreciation. When one expresses the loving quality of charity, it means they have loving tolerance, compassion, and patient empathy for the perceived failings or errors of others. All of this is done not out of a sense of duty or responsibility but rather out of the abundance of warmth and love that one feels welling up inside them. The more charity one gives out to others, the more flows back in. This is the joy of love in action, the outward manifestation of charity where one kind action leads to another. A single act of kindness from one person throws out kindness in a radiating circle, and the action taken touches more people than an individual realizes. Charity is one of the noblest of virtues and it is also the hardest to put into practice. People who practice charity do good things on behalf of others from an inner desire to give benevolent kindness, as their personal human will is transformed into the will to love. This gives a person a greater understanding of what love in action means. It is a movement within the soul that erupts when pierced by the recognition of one's direct connection to another soul. This individual feels a oneness with the other and responds generously from their soul level as freely as if the generosity was for oneself. They are propelled by a spiritual willingness, a generosity of the heart that flows effortlessly for everyone. A generous act of charity is a trait of the soul and it can find expression in many ways such as the sharing of one's time, energy, or their possessions. When one's heart is guided by an open, trusting, inspired, and internal motivation, that person truly loves others. No matter how much is voluntarily given, the emotional depth that is felt by both the giver and the receiver is always greater than that which was given. One's heart overflows from the depth of one's caring in response to the needs of another. Charity is an act of creation and gives people the opportunity to create something positive and good. As one's heart is opened, the individual always responds from this quality of love that wells up within them. Charity is an act of benevolent goodwill toward all living beings, including self. Benevolent charity is an optimism that applied to the other person which could be at many levels. Sometimes bearing the burden of another is a profound spiritual practice which elevates one to think generously, speak generously, and act generously. It means that one is practicing relating to others as though they are part of one's family. Thinking well of others and speaking well of others is the basis for charitable giving. Each act of generous charity works to pry open the heart a little, like clearing a blocked stream one pebble at a time. The flow of spontaneity in acts of charity to one's family and community is then free to follow. Charity comes from the loving heart of a person who is willing to share abundantly all that is given to them. Expressing this quality of love becomes an action they perform by translating their spiritual energy and intention into physical giving. The generous act of charity enacts the quality of a willingness to share and to let go, in order that one can follow their spiritual path. Paying attention to the needs of others is a generous act of charity which is one of the most accessible ways to do that. Practicing the loving quality of charity is at the heart of spiritual practice. Anything that an individual gives joyfully, freely returns to them in like measure. Returning good to those who would injure oneself in any way is also an act of charity, as is giving generously of one's forgiveness and tolerance, goodwill and good nature. In awakened awareness, these individuals serve with equanimity all others who come to seek solace, healing or forgiveness. This unifies the energy of love and compassion within each individual. The motivation of one's heart is paramount whenever one offers a gift. Extending generosity to self and others gladdens one's heart, heals any division, brings joy, and is a fundamental part of living a spiritual life. When one gives the very best of what they have by sometimes giving more than what they keep for themselves, that is when they have surrendered their will to the will of the infinite. By giving away what one treasures the most to meet the need of another, it reflects a divine act of generosity. They live in the flow of love, having the capacity to sacrifice for others without losing sense of self. In an act of charity, they can strengthen their relationship with a family member by showing love through all their actions. They refrain from judging, criticizing, or speaking unkindly, and continually watch for positive qualities in that family member. They find ways to encourage them, which is helpful, and never fail to verbally express their love. Acts of charity are essential to the spiritual life, reflecting as they do an awareness of the interconnectedness of all beings. It is a quality that testifies to the depth of one's humanity and one's capacity for self-transcendence. It overpowers the class structures that are in place and provides true equality for all in society. Giving at its essence is the creative activity of the heart. The richest of all people are those who share themselves, for a person's true wealth is measured by their ability to share. The charitable individual is loved by all, and their friendship is prized highly. They gain more spiritual strength by bestowing kindness and generosity to others. They gain more beauty, purity, and truth in their lives, and acquire great treasures of the spirit. Charity instills sympathy, consideration, and understanding. It ennobles the human spirit and expands the heart and is very helpful to spiritual progression and its evolution of higher consciousness. May your life become a spark in the flame of charity, so that the warmth and light of this loving fire may shine ever more brightly and sustain hope in the hearts of humankind. I am Archangel Gabriel. Channeled by Marlene Switless-Sultana, Keeper of the Symphonies of Grace. www.therainbowscribe.com www.movingintoluminosity.com